We're here at Pet Expo Convention Center, downtown Minneapolis, where we have very special guests coming all the way from Mexico. We have Shorty Rossi, everybody knows him. He has been for so long, worked so hard, an advocate for pit bulls, which they have a very bad image in this country. And as I've heard from talking to him before the show, have also a bad image across the globe. We're going to talk about the expo and his journey with PitBulls. And welcome to Bulahdan, Shorty. That's the name you go by, Shorty?
Part of my legal name. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you came here very early. You haven't slept, 2 o'clock in the morning, so we'll make this very quick. But, you know, you have a rough childhood and upbringing, and I just can imagine somebody, when you are 15 years old, you left the home, you've been in prison for 10 years, and what can somebody like you be that vicious?
I always tell people, we're a product of who we are from our past, but it's what you make of your future.
Uh-huh.
And I wouldn't change nothing of any of the events that happened in my life, from my abusive father to running away home to committing crimes to going to prison to getting out, because all that made me the person I am today. What made me change to the guy I am? Probably a lot of different reasons, and I also look at it, the reason why I'm here talking to you is because of the dogs.
Which is very comfortable.
I thought I was saving their lives, but they were actually saving mine and keeping me out of jail.
So tell us a little bit, what's the connection then? When did you start being aware that Pitbull needs help and you can help them? And
where I grew up at after I ran away, they were always being used for fighting and breeding. And I actually got my first pit bull when I was in junior high school, around 14 years of age, and it became my friend, my companion. And then after that, I went to prison, of course, and then when I got back out, I told myself I need something to do with my life that had some meaning to it. And I went to the dog pound to rescue a pit bull, and I got really involved in what was going on with the dog fighting, with the abuses and everything with animals.
That's living in the street. You see this all the time.
And it just amazed me, and I always looked at these dogs as short and stocky with a little attitude like me, and we had something common because pit bulls are misunderstood, but so are little people. They don't take us as we're doctors, lawyers, business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that bond with them, and I understood what it is to be misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And it went from there, and, 14, 15 years later, I'm here talking to you.
Well, we also have, as an Arab Muslim American, we also have a bad image. We share something with Pitbulls and with you, and we're doing a show to try to improve that. Talk us a little bit about your show, the PitBulls.
We've been rescuing pit bulls since 2001, and I've been having my talent management company, Shorty, since 2000. And so this has been going on for a while. And we always try to get other shows shown in Australia, New Zealand, all of Latin America. So everyone's getting to see in the world what these dogs really are.
That's very interesting, because I thought the bad image that PitBulls having is just an American thing. It's a Western thing.
It's not. Living in Mexico is the same thing. The culture is different because dogs are usually running in the street.
Yeah.
They usually have their pets are usually running the streets, but if you own a pit bull, you keep that one in the house. So there's a little culture difference.
It's an opposite of here.
Yeah. I mean, there is fighting going on in Latin America, but not to the extent of the U.S. There are things happening, but they have more culture of their dogs, so the way they do it. We go on tour. We go in Latin America, too. And it's a whole different thing of the pride that they have for their dogs, because, again, they're different.
It's interesting because we are a dog culture. We are a one nation under dog. It's been millions of dogs. We have probably 150 million dogs. Every house has a dog or so. And why the pit bull did not make the list?
You know what? It goes in spurts, because in the 30s and the 40s, the pit bull terrier was the American dog. They had them as nanny dogs watching kids. We had a movie star pit bull called Pete from The Little Rascal. They were the poster military dog. We loved this animal back then. But what do we do when we, as people in this country, we figure if there's a way to make money illegally off them, we get there to fight. And, you know, you destroy the reputation. And keep in mind, in the 70s and the 80s, it was the Dobermans, the Rottweilers, and the Chows that were getting all the negative press. And now, you know, come to the 90s and beyond, you know, they want to give the bad rap to, you know, this breed. And a lot of the media that's reporting these incidents, one, are not reporting them the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's not, half the time it's not even a pit bull type dog. It may be some Heinz 57 mix that has a little close look like a pit bull. You know, pit bulls are not inherently born to become evil.
Mean.
They're inherently born as being a very powerful and a very strong dog. And I tell people who want to get a pit bull, and you know, middle class America says, yeah, I want to get a guard dog. I'm going to train a pit bull to be me, so he can be my guard dog. I'm like, why are you training this dog that's so powerful to be me?
Mm-hmm. It's a bad combination.
It's about you don't do it. You raise the dog properly. And hopefully there's no neurological problems, and you're going to get one of the world's perfect dogs.
So the problem was not with the god, it's the breeding itself, which is human.
Yes. And you know, you go to around dog pounds around this country today, and 80% of them are filled with pit bulls. Because there's still money to be made in this. You know, I mean, things have happened in the past. Now, you know, not only is it a felony to fight a dog, it's now a felony to sit in a chair and watch a dog fight happen.
Interesting.
In most U.S. states. Minnesota I'm not aware of, but in most U.S. states. So the more awareness we get out, the more people that know what's going on and come to understand it. I know you were aware when Michael Vick got busted for the fighting mix. Mm-hmm. You know what? Thanks to him, there is something good that came out of his horrible situation. A lot of people in America did not know that this was happening in our country in every major city every day of the week. And because of his wrongdoing, it brought more attention and brought more laws. And a lot of people don't know, most of those dogs that were taken away from the fighting are in homes with single dog homes, family homes. They've been rehabilitated. They've been put back there and are able to, you know,
survive.
Be pets. You know, and that's the reward for what that man put them through.
You know, you live now in Mexico. This is very interesting, and that you are a superstar there, and also your show also is big in Latin America. But we also have Caesar coming from Mexico, living here, and he's superstar. Do you see any irony there? Did you cross the border?
There's a joke. They say there's the Mexican pit bull guy that can't wait to get into the U.S., and there's the U.S. pit bull guy that can't wait to get back to Mexico. It's like, you know, we even joke it. You know, we've talked a couple of times. He said, you still living in Mexico? I said, yeah. I said, when you coming down? He goes, no. You know, I mean, it's the irony. I mean, I love the culture down there. There's no dog laws, really. So me having my 9 dogs,
the culture has its own
thing. Yeah. So there's different things you can get away with.
Yeah.
And me having 9 dogs in LA, I got to worry about the neighbors calling. I got to worry about the animal control. I got to, you know, I have a huge property that I pay little amount of money on. So, and I'm able to travel the U.S. and the world. So even though I do live in Mexico, I'm a permanent resident. I'm still fighting my cause, not just in the U.S., but around the world.
So what are the biggest issues facing the pit bulls as far as, you know, I'm sure beside the commercialization of and making money off this, what other issues are there?
It's training the humans to train the dogs. You don't train a dog, you train the human. Mm-hmm. And if we can get more humans to become more responsible for their pets and even their kids, we'd have less problems in this country. Mm-hmm. And until we take that responsibility, when you have a kid, you got 18 years of you got to be the right person. When you get a dog, you got up to probably 14 years. Don't 2 or 3 years later and give up on it and treat it like crap and let it become angry and mean and then hurt somebody. You treat a kid and beat the crap out of them. Look what happens at these high schools now. These kids are losing their freaking minds. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to train ourselves to train the dogs.
And you know, when we talk about the money spent on dogs, I mean, and I just can't see that discrimination is too extreme, that we love dogs like our kids. And then we have a dog here that we almost hate or
I've
terrified.
I've met so
Two
many
extremes.
people who would have 3 or 4 dogs for 10 and 12 years, right? And all of a sudden they have to move to the other side of the country for a job, and they come and they drop their dogs off to
Yeah.
us. I'm like, you disinvested 10 to 12 years of your life, and now you're going to like throw the old granny dogs away because you got to do something else or your husband got a new job? Well, why don't you make him live outside and you live with the dogs? I mean, it blows my mind, and this is a billion-dollar industry, as we know. You know, America treats their dogs better than any other country in the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, we can be the first ones to treat them like crap.
We'll put them asleep. We'll kill them.
I'm like, you know, you're worried about things. We ran into another person that was giving up their dog because it needed a leg surgery. It was going to cost a couple of $1,000s, and we were going to help them out. I just can't afford it. I'm like, really? Maybe if you drop the daily Starbucks habit, your smoking cigarette habit, you're going to the casino once a month habit, and maybe you can save that dog's life. Don't give me that.
Do you think this is going to change?
It's starting to change. A lot of it's changing, even for the bully breeds. It's becoming, when I go to these places and I get some 9-year-old kid and says, my mom's finally letting me get a pit bull because of your show. Or
wow.
I get some 40-year-old husband saying, thank you. My wife is letting me finally let me get a dog. And not too recently, a 90-year-old granny with this pit bull that could have just drug her down the street came to the expo and says, I got him because of you, Shorty. That's what we want to do.
And that what makes you feel like it's worth it.
The whole thing is you're doing something to better something else and not yourself.
You said, you know, being, they call a small man or a grown up, little person, makes you relate to the abuse or the images that the pit bulls. And how does it affect life in general when, you know, grown up, and how do Americans also look at
in the American culture, if you ain't the norm, you're different.
Yeah.
And you're subject to get bullied. You're subject to get treated different because of that. And growing up as a little person, was difficult because you always had to prove who you were. You always had to be tougher. You always had to be, if not, you'll get ran over. And before I came on TV as pit boss, even as being a business owner, I always had to prove that
Tough.
I would bring my assistant with me who was tall, and they go talking to him. I'm right here. I own the company. So it was getting the people to let that stereotype go. Now it's a good thing now that I'm, popular and everyone knows I own businesses. And like, okay, calm down. Don't. Which is a good thing because that's what I
put
want.
your purchase inside.
It comes out. I even tell other little people now, you're going to get treated that way, and there's no reason to get mad. You just make them look bad and make yourself look better than they are.
So that's also an interesting point, because little people say, why didn't Shorty make a show and be advocate to our cause and ourselves instead of dogs?
Dogs saved my life. I need to save theirs. Little people didn't save my life.